Welcome to the explainer. Okay, let's just jump right in. What if I told you there was a kind of reset button for your entire nervous system? Today, we're going to explore this really wild idea that connects a tiny spot on your ear to some pretty advanced neuroscience. I mean, it's a huge question, right? The ability to just restore your body's natural balance with a single touch. It sounds a little like something out of a sci-fi movie, for sure. But, and this is the cool part, the whole idea actually comes from a pretty surprising medical discovery way back in the 1950s. So this whole idea, it all revolves around one specific spot called point zero. And this is a central concept in something called auriculotherapy. Basically, it's the practice of treating the body through points on the ear. The theory goes that your ear is like a tiny, folded up map of your entire body. Kind of wild. Okay, so where did this all come from? You might think it's some ancient mystical thing, right? But nope, it's actually a pretty modern discovery, and it comes from post-war France, of all places. So let me introduce you to Dr. Paul Noget. He was a physician in Lyon, France, back in the 50s, and he started noticing something strange. Some of his patients had these little burn marks on their ears. Turns out it was a folk remedy for back pain. Now, instead of just dismissing it, he got really curious. He started thinking, what if the ear is more than just, well, an ear? And that curiosity led him to painstakingly map the entire human body onto the ear, seeing it as its own complete little system. And right at the very center of his map, both geometrically and functionally, he identified one key spot, point zero. His theory was that stimulating this point was like hitting a reset button for your body's homeostasis. And all homeostasis really means is your body's natural state of balance. So you hit this point and you bring the whole system back to its happy place, its equilibrium. But, point zero isn't a solo act. It's got a really important partner in this whole system. And this partner, it focuses less on the purely physical stuff and more on the mental and emotional side of things, our overall well-being. This partner point is called Shenmen, and that translates to spirit gate. So if you think of point zero as the reset button for your body's hardware, Shenmen is kind of like the reset for your mind's software. It's seen as the gateway to mental calm, the go-to spot for easing anxiety and stress. So this is the really important part, how they work together as a team. It's just like I said, point zero is all about the hardware, right? It's restoring your body's balance, getting all the physical rhythms back in check. Meanwhile, Shenmen is working on the software, targeting that emotional and mental calm. One for the body, one for the mind. It's a really elegant system when you think about it. Okay, so this is a really fascinating theory, right? But the big question is there any actual science to back this up, or is it just a cool idea? Well, let's peel back the curtain and look at the nerves under the skin to see what's really going on here. And what you find is pretty incredible. The outer ear, it's not just a piece of cartilage for holding up your glasses. Not at all. It is an incredibly complex neurological landscape. It is just packed with nerve endings that are like direct phone lines to some of the most important control centers in your brain. Just look at how complex this wiring is. The main takeaway here is that your ear is not some isolated island. It is hardwired into your brain by 4 different major nerves. And one of those, the auricular branch of the vagus nerve, well, that one is the absolute star of the show for our story today. And bam, here it is. This is the connection we've been looking for, the vagus nerve. You can think of it as the superhighway for your body's chill-out system, the parasympathetic nervous system that tells you to rest and digest. And guess what? The traditional spot for point zero sits directly on top of the main turf of this incredibly powerful nerve. It's literally a direct line to your body's automatic control center. So this direct link to the vagus nerve, that is the bridge. It connects Dr. Nagièr's map from the 1950s with everything we know about the brain today. Suddenly, you can start to see the actual physical how behind what he was observing all those years ago. All right, so here's where it all clicks into place. When you stimulate point zero, you're directly activating that vagus nerve, which helps regulate all the stuff your body does automatically without you thinking about it. And when you stimulate Shenmen, you're firing up pathways that modern science, with tools like fMRI, has shown can actually change the activity in your brain's emotional centers and even lower your stress hormone cortisol. This is real, measurable stuff. And it gets even deeper. Some neuroscientists think that point zero is basically an external access point to a deep brain structure that acts like the master conductor for our emotions and thoughts. The brain's internal rhythm keeper. So stimulating point zero could be like giving that conductor a little tap on the shoulder to help them find the right tempo again. And remember, point zero isn't working in isolation. It's sitting in a really dense neighborhood of other key points, all related to things like our heart and lungs. Together, they create this powerful little neural switchboard. And that's probably why stimulating just this one tiny area can have such fast and far-reaching effects on everything from your mood to your heart rate. So what's the big takeaway here? It means that the map Dr. Nogier drew back in the 50s wasn't just some random doodle. It was anything but arbitrary. Without any of our modern gadgets, his incredible powers of observation seem to have led him to discover real, functional gateways into our own nervous system. It's pretty amazing. So we've really followed the whole journey, haven't we? It started with a doctor's simple curiosity in the 1950s, which grew into a whole functional map of the ear. And now, finally, we have a scientific explanation that connects that very map directly to the actual wiring of our brains. And all of this leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to chew on. I mean, if a doctor's keen observations from the 1950s could line up so perfectly with modern neuroanatomy, what other forms of wisdom, whether they're ancient or brand new, are just sitting there, waiting for science to finally catch up and show us the secrets they've been holding all along?